All right, so first of all, there's a couple of things that I just have to start with. Congratulations. I mean, for those of you who don't realize this, you just pulled off the largest acquisition in the history of real estate. It's pretty awesome. The other thing I want to say is thank you. I always like to kind of give behind the scenes to the audience, and I was one of those crazy people who reached out to you on the day the acquisition closed. And I said, congratulations, and I would love for you to come to Growth Mastermind. And you did something that I was like blown away with. You responded same day, which I'm sure you got 10,000 inquiries on that day. You responded same day, and you said, absolutely, I'd love to join you. So first of all, just thank you for making us a priority. I appreciate that. Last week I had the ability to watch you up on stage at Inman, and it was a moment, because anybody who was in the audience there, you'll appreciate what I'm about to say. Everybody was talking about this acquisition. Like, that was the vibe of the whole conference. And it was just like, Compass this, Compass, that, I got a kick out of it because they were interviewing CEOs of other very large real estate firms and asking them about us. So it was just to give you context, like all eyes were on, Compass International Holdings and you as a leader. And Brad Inman, gets you up on stage. And one of the questions that he starts with is, you have a new job title. And you have, the way he described it is, you're now the head of essentially the largest pyramid in real estate. And you responded with something that blew me away, and I would love for you to share with our audience.
Well, I think what I said was, my view is, I'm not on top. You're all on top, and I think about it as a reverse triangle. Like, real estate professionals, agents are here, your sales managers, branch leaders are there, then the RVPs and presidents and so on, and I work for all of you on the way up. When you said making you a priority, to me, you're more than a priority, you're everything. The only reason CIH exists, the only reason I do this job is because of you. If you didn't exist, there would be a job. You are the client, I work for you, not the other way around. And if I could ever, that's why I give out my phone number to every one of you, 917-488-4898.
I almost put it on the slide.
But I do that because I need to work as hard for you as you work for your clients. I need to be as entrepreneurial for you as you are for them. I need to be as responsive to you as you are for them. You work 7 days a week, so I work 7 days a week. And my mom is a real estate agent. She's been an agent nearly my entire life, my entire life. First part was as a life insurance agent, for the majority a real estate agent. She's 80 years old, and she said yesterday, I had her on the phone with a bunch of broker owners from Century 21, and I said, let's call her. Because I was explaining to them, I know you and I are the same as broker owners. I know what it feels like when a top agent leaves the office, or an agent leaves and breaks your heart. I know what it feels like when you launch tech, spend all this money on it, doesn't work. And I know what the best feeling in this industry, the best feeling you ever get, I guarantee you, I know the best feeling he ever gets, is when one of you say, you changed my life. The best feeling that you get on this side of the business is when that happens. Doesn't happen every day, doesn't happen every week, but when that happens, it's the best feeling. Mm-hmm. What the conversation we'll often get when you're talking with someone, I was trying to explain it to my mom to them, is she's the kind of person that says, this is my best year ever. Because you hear that a lot, right?
Of course.
So I call my mom with all these broker owners. I'm like, hey mom, how's it going? She's like, good, how's it going? And I said, how's your year? Is this gonna be a good year? Is this gonna be your best year ever? She's like, yeah, this is gonna be my best year ever. I said, why do you say that? She said, because I'm a real estate entrepreneur. That's why I said it. So anyway, I'm just trying to highlight, I am emotionally driven to want to see you succeed. It's not about numbers and dollars and tech and this. I want to see you be successful. The smile you have right there is the smile that I care about. And then it warms my heart. And so, yeah.
I love you starting with that. And the honest truth is I just saw like the crowd transform at Inman. Everybody was like, oh, what's going to be said? And it just like, it was an immediate transformation of like, this is the way real estate should be done. So I appreciate that. You brought up your mother.
By the way, he's great. I've met
Thank you. Thank you.
I know what greatness looks like, and I've had two meetings with him. I was like, oh, this guy's great. I
appreciate
that.
that.
And masterminding to me is one of those valuable things you can provide the real estate professional. And so thanks for doing this. Because it creates not just more success, but more community.
Listen, it's a testament to everybody in this room, Rob Norman, wherever you are. The truth is I said this earlier, but it's the God's honest truth is when I took on my role, I really, this was the vision, is I wanted to build this out. And it doesn't happen without great leadership above, and so I appreciate you for that. And yeah, I mean, I love the fact that like you're a servant leader. Like you put people first, and it's clear that you want to see people excel. And I've been the benefactor of that in our world as well. So thank you for that.
Look, I live and breathe this company that we all are. Yesterday I started off 7 a.m. breakfast with someone in our combined company, and back-to-back meetings all the way until and then there's someone in one of the brands who wanted to talk, so we got together at I think at 8:15 to 9 that I put my kids to bed. Tomorrow morning I'm waking up at 3:30 in the morning to get on a 6 a.m. flight to go meet with the Coldwell Banker agents in Chicago. So I'll be in Chicago meeting with Coldwell Banker Sotheby's, and then I have the dinner with the Coldwell Banker team, and I have the last flight in that gets back here tomorrow night at I think 12:58. On coach, I only fly coach because I want every dollar to go to you and what we're building, not to me, not to pleasantries and comforts in a 2-hour flight, but to you and the company we're building for you.
Yeah. I witnessed
but if they give me a free upgrade, I'll take it.
I witnessed this firsthand. I was here yesterday just trying to make sure everything was set up, and obviously we had a meeting in the morning, and it was funny because almost the whole rest of the day it was like people that I was bumping into that they had the next meeting with you, and it was like you literally just don't stop. I mean, it was unbelievable how many meetings you had in just that stretch. So it was very clear you're working for us. I appreciate that. Let's get back to your mother for a second. I think that
we should call her.
Absolutely. I think that.
Want to call her?
Yeah.
Hey Annie, do you have my phone? I don't know if Annie's there.
By the way,
let's
I got to tell you, I know you're calling her, but while you're doing this, Annie and Zena and your team are outstanding. I sincerely appreciate you guys. I can't tell you how much help it was.
FaceTime or just audio? FaceTime? All right. She may be like, hey, I'm not ready yet. FaceTime or audio? All right. All right, FaceTime?
FaceTime.
Audio. FaceTime. FaceTime 1. All right, so let's see.
It's already 11. It's 11:11. It's 11:11. I did perfect time.
I'm taking her out to dinner tonight
if you want one.
Oh, nice.
Is she on the East Coast?
She's here. She lives a couple blocks from me. She works in New York.
Oh, good. 'Cause I don't want to wake up too early.
Hey, Mom.
Are you with people?
Yeah. She's waving.
I told you.
You look lovely. I can't wait to have dinner with you tonight.
Where are you?
We're in Madison with a bunch of amazing Coldwell Banker agents, and and I was telling them all of how you're an amazing real estate entrepreneur and how much I've learned from you, and I can't wait to take you out to dinner tonight.
I'm excited.
All right, I love you.
Okay, I'm looking forward to meeting all of you guys.
Always taking referrals, right? I love you. She said, and I give out referrals too.
All right, so that was off scripted and perfect.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm
I
sorry.
knew she'd want the makeup. But
I don't know. I think this died. So give me
here
1
we go.
second. No, I'll grab another one. You have another mic? Thank you very much. I don't know what happened to that one. That one got excited by your mom.
Yeah, I got too excited.
So,
Broke the airwaves.
So talk to us about, from a leadership style, you obviously, it's clear you learned from her. What do you
Yes.
think you took, that whole experience of having a mom in real estate, how do you think it transformed you as a leader?
So she was a single mom, and she was disowned by her parents for having an interracial relationship. So the last time that she ever talked to her parents, or they ever talked to her, is the day I was born. And they didn't ask, is he happy or healthy? They asked, what is he? And she said, he is Jewish and black, and that was it. She's also not the kind of person that has everyone just gravitate to want to help her, right? Some people just have that kind of magic. She had to figure it out. And so what she did is she created a preschool in our house. And that let her take care of me and make money at the same time. And then when I graduated preschool, I went to kindergarten. She started working for the Jewish Community Center of the Greater East Bay. And so she could take care of me and make money at the same time. Then someone named Michael Kraft from New York Life Insurance, who was the first female manager of New York Life Insurance, said, hey, all these Jews that just had kids, you should sell them life insurance. And so she did that for about 10 years, and then she became a real estate agent. So she's a life insurance agent and real estate agent. But in this journey of her, I saw her deal with rejection every day and move forward. So often people say, this is a hard profession you're in, where you're always thinking about work. And sometimes people ask, they worry if they're not there enough for their kids. But my view is I wouldn't be the person I am if it wasn't for her. She inspired me every day. And I really believe anything's possible. Almost, you would think I'm delusional, but I believe it, right? And it's because of my experience with her. When I was a C student in high school, she said, apply to Columbia. And I applied, we got in. And we didn't get into 20 other schools, but we got into the one we really wanted. And so many things that we tried, even think about what I said, we applied, right? Which also is kind of core to who I am, is that we're all doing this together. And so I've learned so much from her.
Awesome. Love that. So we're in a period of real estate where, just industry-wide, there's been consolidation, there's been, let's call it right sizing of, brick and mortar space and all these changes that are happening. Many of the people in this room have been impacted by that in one way or the other. You walk into the room the other day, we're having a session, and you basically jumped right in and said, I want to have brick and mortar offices with agents inside of them. And I want it to be bustling places of business. And you said it in your words, I'm paraphrasing. And I was just like, yes. I'm a real estate guy through and through. And for me, having people in the office is paramount to success. And so I just would love for you to speak to kind of how those two worlds collide in a way where, we obviously have to make smart decisions, right sizing and having the right office space, but also your vision of having agents in the office.
Yeah, so this is probably one of the top 3 things that I care about, which is in-person connection, right? It's not just offices, it's moments like this, but you only can do moments like this so often. And so I believe whoever connects the most, I believe the world is lying to us all. And they're saying be efficient with technology and just buttons and clicks. And it creates a huge opportunity for people to connect more. If all your colleagues are going to tech and virtual, then you can go into people and you will grow your business. You won't just be happier, you'll grow your business. So to me, it is whoever connects the most grows the most. Leaders have an obligation to develop their people, and it's harder to develop people virtually than in person. It's about being in person is about spontaneous moments of laughter. The whole thing that we just did with my mom wouldn't have happened. Right? Imagine if I was on that screen right there. Would we have the same connection? No. Would we have the same trust? No. It would just be blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't have to be on your phone. There would be nothing. Right? So in person is a huge advantage. So what I would do if I were you, I would say I'm going to connect more in person with my sphere of influence than my competitors. And I'm going to knock on the door with my, this is a great thing someone did. Every holiday period around in November, they bring pies to all their past clients with their 6-year-old son. And the majority of their business comes from that, just being in person. But there are dozens of client events in person, coffees, breakfast, lunches, dinners. That's the best way to grow your business. And now when it comes to the office, there's nothing I wish more than all of our competitor brokerage firms were virtual. Just think about that, because the number one reason why people don't come to a company is their emotional connection to their manager and their colleagues. And how do you build emotional connection if you're just virtual? So let everyone else be virtual, and we'll be the in-person company doing things like this. But I would ask you, please try to lean into your... I would ask you, there's only, again, 2 things I'd ask you for. One is, please, however much time you're spending in the office, spend more. And when you come in, say hello to other people. Shake their hand, ask them how they're doing. Some of the best transactions happen when you're at the, you're by the water, getting water or coffee, and we're going up and down the elevator.
So I want to jump into the industry as a whole for a second. Obviously, a few months ago, we were competing. And, the reality is I've heard for years, many of the people in this room have heard, Compass is trying to do this or Compass is trying to do that. And you're trying to, one of the things that I've heard for a long time is the idea of a fragmentation of real estate by eliminating the MLSs. And, I touched upon it. I believe in Inman. We had a conversation offline that I absolutely loved. And I would love for you to share the Visa conversation.
Oh, Visa.
Because I thought that was just really game changing.
So why are there, well, first of all, I want all real estate professionals at all companies to be successful. The only reason I do this is because I am inspired by you as entrepreneurs, and I have almost a spiritual view that anything is possible and entrepreneurship is the path. And so you inspire me deeply. Now to the MLS, which is the exact opposite of entrepreneurship. Every single day, you need to earn your business. You need to keep the real estate professional. Every single day, you got to earn your business. You got to fight for buyers and sellers. Ask yourself, does the MLS have to earn their business? They own you. It is a real monopoly, not mono, one. Every market has one of them. And can you ask yourself another question? Can you do your job if you're not a member of your MLS? No. That's too much power. The MLS has started off, the role was called an MLS secretary in the 70s. They would take photos of your listings. They would go to the printing house and they'd come back and give you listing books, MLS books. Then in the 90s, they put it on the internet and they became digital monopolies. They are businesses, period. And so why are there 518 MLSs? Why? Is that for you? Is that for fair housing? Is that for transparency? Is that for, what are the things they say? Is that for whatever, all the arguments they have? No. It's because 517 people don't want to lose their job. Why are there 7 MLSs in New Jersey, or 7 or 9? I hear different things. Why can't you watermark your own photo, but then your MLS watermarks it? Is that for all those things? Transparency, fair housing, all the arguments they use to take your listings? No. Why in 1995 did NAR create Realtor.com? They owned it 100%. And then that's when the mandatory submission rule came into effect, which said if you don't give me your listing in 24 hours, I will fine you up to $5,000. So then the MLSs got NAR, the associations, and their MLSs. The associations own 80% of the MLSs. They then took all your listings, because if you didn't give it to them, you get fined, and they gave them for free to Realtor.com. Zillow was paying for them at the time, Trulia was paying for them, they just gave them for free. Then they sold Realtor.com for $1 billion, and went to Rupert Murdoch and News Corp. That's why NAR had $1 billion in their bank. That's how they settled for $500 million. Where'd all that money come from? And then when they sold it for $1 billion, remember there is nothing without listings. There would be no Realtor.com if they didn't have your listings. When they sold it for $1 billion, how much did every hard-working agent get? So similar to the way the NCAA went to every athlete and said, no, for fairness, you shouldn't be able to make any money from advertising. It's for fairness of the game, right? They use it, that's what the arguments. But then there's a court case that said NCAA now owes the athletes $2.8 billion Because what they did is it was a cartel, organized cartel of people that worked together and said, in order to be the NCAA, you need to make sure every college athlete prices the collegiate athlete labor, their labor at $0. Their labor is priced at $0. You have been forced to price your listings at $0. Your photos, which you don't own your photos, your MLS does, but your photos, your content that you created, all that data. You are the cheapest creators of content in the world. In fact, you have to pay someone to take your content from you. And if you don't give it to them after paying them, in 24 hours, they're gonna find it's at $5,000. And so what I want to do is do what the banks did with Visa. The banks in 2001 came together and they said, and by the way, this idea, not all MLSs are the same. Half the MLSs give choice to sellers, half do not. We can talk more about that, I guess, later. But what an MLS CEO said, you should do what Visa did in the banks. The banks came together and said, why are we all replicating the Visa, the technology for debit and credit cards? Let's come together and create one as a group. And so they did that, and now that Visa is worth $500 billion, and they gave a $10 billion dividend to Chase alone, JP Morgan Chase. The brokerages, so I'm talking to brokerages reflecting half of the listings in the country. And I'm saying, why don't we come together and create a national MLS? Like no agent says, I want to be a member of 7 MLSs in New Jersey. No, it's 3 in Greenwich, Connecticut, 5 in the Bay Area. Like no one's saying that. Let's come together, let's create a national MLS. No one says, I want to be fined by my MLS. If it was owned by brokerages, we would never, could you imagine your brokerage fining you $5,000 because you didn't put a listing on their site first? Like think about how much power these people have to be able to pull that off. And so, yes, I want to create a national MLS owned by brokers and agents that treats you the right way. And it's going to happen.
Now that's something I believe. This is a little bit off script.
If you really think about it, in the last 2 years, the only thing that I've advocated for is that agents, my clients, should not be fined by MLSs and banned by Zillow. If there were no fines or bans, I wouldn't have to say anything. The market would be the market. And I believe the best of you would all rise.
I think that, I mean, obviously you got the applause for this and I understand why, but what I would say is like, when I first heard this, what was eye-opening to me is for a long time we heard, Compass is trying to exclude other brokerages. And that's the opposite of what you're actually trying to do.
What I said on Inman, but I said this so many times, and what I said at Inman, I said anyone from any brokerage who wants to see every Compass off MLS listing, email me and I'll set you up in a safe search. Since then, we've had probably 40 people email me. But I say this over, like here, just email me, Robert at Compass, we'll set you up, boom. I'll add Will Hardy, or you can email him directly, Will at Compass. But yesterday, the CEO of a major San Francisco brokerage emailed me, boom, you're on. Here's the best trick in the game. Clear cooperation. Larry, you all know clear cooperation, right? Yeah. Well, you read the news. Clear cooperation, that's the rule against private listings, right? Raise your hand if that's the rule against private listings, right? I mean, you gotta raise your hand. Is it one or the other? Is it a rule against private listings? Yeah. Or is it not a rule against private listings? No, it is. All right, so everyone raise your hand. It's a rule against private listings, right? That's the rule. Let me ask you a question. For clear cooperation, how long can you have a private listing?
24 hours.
If it's private, how long can you have it?
Unlimited.
Office exclusives, how long can you have it?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. Okay, so office exclusives or private listings, you can have it for as long as you want. As long as you want. When you said 24 hours, what were you said that is how long can you publicly share listings outside the MLS? That's 24 hours. So is it a rule against private listings or is it a rule against marketing and sharing listings outside the MLS? That's what it is. Because they don't want any competitors. They want no one to compete. And if off MLS listing marketing was so bad, why, and all these reasons they can make up, a lot of good reasons, were fined over 20 years. Why would the most sophisticated, profit-driven, repeat sellers of real estate, home builders and developers, Why do they sell off the MLS? If it's this and by the way, if it's this magical place that sells property so well, why do you need to find someone to make you use it? Think about it. Like if you're a seller, and here's another question. Does every seller know do they know that if you didn't put your listing in the MLS, did they have a conflict of interest form that said, hey, I want you to know, I'm really glad I have your listing, but I also want you to know I may be conflicted. If I don't get your listing into this single marketing option, only one, there's not two, it's like a single, one-way marketing. There's not 5 options, there's one. This highly uncompetitive single marketing option where it goes to, where days on market and price drop history will be on your listing, the killer value. If I don't get it in there, then I'm gonna be fined $5,000. Does every seller know that? And your fiduciary duty is to me, the seller, not to organize real estate. Your fiduciary duty is to me, not someone else's buyer. And so I believe, I want to be conscious about what I say, but sellers are not being treated the way they should be. I'll say it lightly. Should a seller have the right, and here's the question, to publicly market their listing without days on market price drop history? Should they have that right? Well, per the Zillow ban, if you publicly market for more than 1 day and it's not on Zillow, you get banned. So they took away that right, at least for Zillow. And half the MLSs will not let you do that. If you publicly market without days on market price drop history, you have to put in the MLS where they're gonna put days on market price drop history and send it to Zillow. So sellers are getting screwed. And so it's, again, all these narratives, there are a lot of them out there, but I believe in choice versus control. I believe, there's no mandates at CIH or at Compass. There's no policies, no requirements. I believe you have the fiduciary duty with your seller, and the two of you should decide how you market property. And that's what's best for the seller, not for it to be determined by organized real estate. By the way, organized real estate is what NAR calls themselves, and their associations and MLSs. Organized real estate, I'm just being joking a little bit, but organized crime. Yeah. Right? But what does organized crime do? They say it's called protection money. If you don't give me this money, then I'm trying to do to protect you. That's what MLSs do. Hey, I'm doing all these things to protect you, because if we don't do this, the world will fall apart. But there are actually multiple states where there are no fines and no fines. Massachusetts has no fines of agents. Has the world fallen apart? No. The state of Tennessee, there's no fines. Has the world fallen apart? No. It works perfectly fine. But some of them push too far.
So you touched upon Zillow, and I think there's a lot of people in here that are like, whoa, I never heard any of this before. So I appreciate you going into it. I'm just curious, like, you have a very different, and this is what's become very clear to me, is you have a very different version of, the future than Zillow does. And, I think that what I've noticed is there's really polar opposites, and you're kind of on one side or the other.
Zillow's future is to extract as much dollars from you as they possibly can, period. To take your listings. Here, I'm gonna tell you a surreal moment.
This is how I know he gets fired up.
I go to meet Zillow and all of their executives. I fly there, and it's one of the only times where my knees were like, they were kind of shaking. And it was like, I was stunned. I go in Seattle, I go to their, this high floor, I look out and it's beautiful water of like the Seattle Bay. And then I go in, it's the executive quarters. The executive quarters is this as big as the entire room, split in 4 different buckets. The first bucket is the conference room, then the 4 executive assistants, then like a lounge area, and then the 2 executives. And there was a hanging garden over here, huge hanging garden, water flowing down like a waterfall. To walk between each room, you had to, there's like, if you think about Hawaii or Bali, like there's like a water with the black rocks, and you're like walking through it. I swear to God. The water, I swear, Fiji bottles I think the Fiji water is the waterfall. Beautiful paintings. And the reason I was stunned is like, this is what our listings built.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe it. It's brilliant. They took your listings, then they created this thing, Start, we're not going to charge you anything.
Yeah.
We're just going to give you your leads. You want leads. Your name was right here. Then your name's there with 3 other people. Now your name's gone.
Yeah.
They charge nothing. Then they charge 5%, 10%. Now they charge 40%. 40%. What do they charge? That's just, there's like a fair level of charging. There's like a little too much. 40 is just too much. And you know, when I met with them, they were like, they offered to a $1.3 to $1.6 billion revenue uplift for the company if I agreed to not let you market off Zillow. That was before, by the way, think about that. That was when we were just Compass. How much will they offer now? And by the way, when they offered that, I was like, oh my God, how valuable are our listings? 1.3 to 1.6 billion a year? That's crazy. And then they offered to double end all the off MLS listings on Zillow. I was like, what do you mean? So they said, the listing, anytime a buyer wants to look at it, they refer to a Compass buyer agent, and the listing agent would have no idea. And I was like, but hold on, weren't you the one who was saying the only reason we do this is double end deals? And then I realized you can't do a good deal with a bad guy. Like it is just, they push too hard. Now I want to be clear, I respect everyone's business here. If your business depends on Zillow leads, I respect your business. And it's my job to try to give you options that are equivalent. I respect, it is so important that you know that. And the stuff that's happening between CIH and this company have nothing to do with you. I'm going to make sure that you get the support you need, but that every dollar they make should be your dollars. It's your listings. I'll give you this example. We in New York, CIH, let's say we have the majority of listings in Manhattan. Should the company that has the majority of listings in a market be the place where the most people search the market? Yes. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? The only reason that wouldn't be the case is something that's unnatural, which is the MLS, which are fines and bans. It is unnatural. Because naturally, you would just market on your site with a majority of listings, search Coldwell Banker, Compass, Sotheby's, and Corcoran in Manhattan, where the majority of listings are there 1 day in advance, 2 days in advance. That would move the market. Here's another example of a challenge. Google doesn't think your listings are your listings. They think it's Zillow or Redfin. Because the MLS takes the data. You can't put your listings on your site first. You put in the MLS. Then Zillow and Reffkin ingest the data faster than brokerages, so they bring it to the internet. Literally, the Google algorithm doesn't think it's your listing. If all of you, just 3 hours before, everyone in our company, just put it for 3 hours before on our site, before this system, then you would all be at the top of Google. Who would be unhappy about that? Any of you?
We literally just had a whole session with Corey talking about like brand authority. And this is it in practice. Yeah. Like it's as simple. It's not saying that every other broker can't get the listings and we're not willing to cooperate with other companies. It's as simple as how does it syndicate out and who gets it first?
What happened on the internet, you're gonna like this. It'll be clear. What happened to your digital sign? Think about this. The signs in the street that say Coldwell Banker, right all in the street. Imagine if overnight, instead of saying Coldwell Banker, it said Zillow. Instead of saying your name in the physical street, it said contact agent and his number. That is what happened in your digital sign. And if you could only have one, you could have domain and control over your physical sign or the internet. What would you rather have? The internet. We have to bring, so look, the world I want is the one where you're highly empowered, where you are growing your business because you're my client. The only way that I succeed is if you succeed. And we want to help you grow as much as possible.
Agreed. Hold on, I'll get up.
It's not Q&A yet.
Don't worry, we'll skip ahead.
So I'm excited to see a lot of the technology that I've heard about Compass bringing, but some of the stuff you're just describing, we've had here at Coldwell Banker for a while. Sneak peek on exclusive look. How do we get agents to actually buy in and use it?
Can I talk about this?
It sounds like.
Mind if I jump in? I know you're asking him, but nah, hold on. I got you're going to see it in a few minutes, but I got the ability to, and I'm saying this because for years I've been battling against Compass. So, quite frankly, like I saw their technology, a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that was like a whoa to me is the idea that when you go to Exclusive Look right now, everybody in this room, if you go to Exclusive Look, do I think that it has value? Yes. I think that there's a lot of value to exclusives, and we could talk about that in a second. But the bigger picture is it's a system that you have to go into that's separate from what you're doing on a daily basis. You have to go into this alternative place. Like, whereas on their system, when you go to put a search in, it not only gives you all of the MLS searches of every property that comes up based on that search, but it feeds in all the exclusive inventory into the exact same search that shoots out to your clients. It is a monumental night and day difference.
MLS search and unique inventory search are the same thing in our platform. And in Manhattan right now, we have 700 listings that aren't on Zillow. That are not on Zillow. And that's just us. But when all companies come together in Manhattan, it'll be 2,000. And so, yeah, it's all in the same place together, and it pops up together.
I'm going to ask the question in a second, but before I do that, just touch on that point real quick, because you now have all of these different brands. Talked about the exclusive
So what it will look like is this time next year, we have 200,000, 300,000 of the best real estate professionals in the country operating on a single platform. In the same way that MLS united us, call it decades ago, across different brands, this platform will unite us. It will be a national MLS. In Newport Beach, our companies, well, we have a lot of listings, but it'll be a national MLS where anyone can share, connected to our 8 sites. So each of our sites, Coldwell Banker, Compass, Corcoran, et cetera, Sotheby's, will have what I hope to have 200,000 listings that are not publicly marketed, not hidden. The only reason they'll be hidden is if the MLSs are finding us and Zillow's banning us, and you're too scared because you'll but there's no natural reason you wouldn't want to put it on your site first and be at the top of Google. There's no natural reason. This phase, I'll be able to get early feedback on positioning. Should we change staging? Should we change the staging? And I'll be able to, sometimes in this phase, you'll find a buyer that wants to pay a premium to not have competition, who will pay a premium to not have it go to the open market and have to compete against everybody else. To have a premium to have simplicity and certainty. Certainty has a price. And then phase 2, I'm going to put it on our public site, where it'll be on Coldwell Banker and all these 8 sites, but still no days on market, no price drop history, which is the key advantage. And lastly, with the benefit of price discovery in phase 1 and phase 2, I'm going to launch it on the MLS and all the portals. And when you look at Compass relative to other companies, there's much less price drops. The reason public price drops, because you're getting the feedback early, and you're getting the price drop privately, not publicly. And I have a fiduciary duty to prevent you from price drops, and this is the method to do so. There's no reason a seller wouldn't want this 3-phase marketing strategy. The worst thing that can happen is you're gonna have the opportunity to say no to an offer. I don't want that offer. I want to go to the public market. There's no downside. And also, this is a listing tool that will help you get more listings. The answer to every client objection is private exclusives. Oh, you want to wait until spring because your kid's graduating high school? Well, how about you put on as private exclusive, and you may get an aspirational offer to compensate you for that transition move. Oh, this other agent's offer says it's worth $2 million. I'm saying it's worth 1.8. Well, let's put on as private exclusive. No days on market, no price drop history.
Is what it switches to.
Thank you so much.
Here you go.
Conversation.
Hi, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I'll talk about it in a
Thank you so much. I watched a couple of the YouTube videos about your, the Rory person. And
The Rory person?
Yeah,
He's going to be here giving you a tech demo in just a couple minutes.
I was impressed with you, Mark. My question is this. Let's say we have this national MLS. How are we going to retain our three-way party agreement and be called realtors?
So the three-way agreement. So again, what my goal is to tell you 4 simple things. I want to look you in the eye, which I couldn't do. Compass was not big enough. We tried some of these things. One MLS cut our data feed, put all of our agents' business at risk. Another MLS, both top 10 MLSs, another MLS said if you don't we didn't give them $1 million of your money, they're going to cut off the data feed. So to give them $1 million in a letter of credit. That wasn't for transparency, it wasn't for fair housing, that was because they want control. Choice versus control. And so one of the big mechanisms over control, How does NAR get everyone to pay them? It's the tri-party agreement. And they tie one of two things generally to paying them. If you want to access your MLS, you must pay NAR. That is not a natural thing. That's unnatural. And so I want natural things. The other is, in 4 states that sued, so that's not illegal, then what NAR did is they said, in order to access your state forms, so California, in order to access the purchase agreement, you must pay NAR. Now, I like NAR. I think NAR does a lot of great stuff. By the way, I like the MLS, to be very clear. The majority of MLSs, I'm on speed dial with. We're great friends, right? Like in the majority of MLSs. But I believe that I need to be able to look you in the eye and say, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it alone. But with Anywhere, with us coming together, I could promise you, if you don't want to pay NAR, you won't have to. I believe in them. I believe in it, but I want you to not have to be forced to. I want to look you in the eye and say, if you don't, you will no longer be fined by your MLS for anything. They're not governments. They're not elected officials. These are businesses, and great businesses. But I want a world of no forced payment, no bans, no fines, and then the market will be the market.
John, we have a question back here.
But so you'll be able to pay. So
Call yourself an agent, a licensed agent.
you can call yourself a real estate professional, a licensed agent. You can independently. I mean, how many people here would pay NAR if you didn't have to? So I think generally it's like 10% when I ask people. So the 10% will pay them, and they'll have the realtor thing, which I think is great. And I think the advocacy work they do is incredible. So to be very clear, I'm pro NAR. I am pro MLS. You know how much you love your clients, your buyers and sellers, and like how much you try to work for them, and you are that to me. And imagine if someone for your buyers and sellers, some third-party entity that doesn't have fiduciary duty, was fining and banning your buyers and sellers, and then forcing them to pay something that they didn't want to pay. They didn't like. It's my job to make that stop.
I know we have a million questions. I promise we're going to open it up to Q&A in a second. I'll come back to you, Chris. I realize that like for some people in this room, and I'm going to use myself as the example, I've been very involved in associations through the years, whether it's NAR or whether it's the local board, the state, and I'm very proud of that, the real estate community as a whole. I realize that it's hard to do this in a quick clip, while we're up here and these short questions. But the one thing that I got out of our conversation was actually the opposite of what some people would say about you and feel about what Compass is trying to do, and it's not about trying to pull listings away from the real estate community. It's quite the opposite. And if we could, try to cling on to oh my God, he's changing this or he's changing that. The reality is, if we have any entity that's willing to share their listings with every other brokerage, that's out there, I don't believe that entity is trying to do anything nefarious. I think that that's the way it should be done. Now the question is what is the mechanism for that? And I asked you about the visa question before, because for me, what was highlighted in that question is that if the large brokerages all come together and have this conversation, it wouldn't be the large brokerages controlling visa. No. And that was the part that I feel like is important.
The mistake, if we did the national MLS, the mistake would be allowing any broker owner to have a vote or board seat. It needs to be independently run like Visa and just let it be successful. Otherwise, there'll be all these so we wouldn't have disproportionate ownership or a board seat. It has to be completely independent. But I want to read you 2 things to give you a sense of this. We launched on May 1st. We said, anyone that wants to come to our office, I'll show you all our private listings. We got from dozens of MLSs saying, if you let anyone into your private office, we're going to fine you. So I'm going to read you this. This is from Ed Zorn, CRMLS, the largest MLS in the country. Just a heads up that CRMLS has not modified or changed the CCP rules or exempt one-to-one marketing of clear cooperation. If any outside Compass agent or non-Compass client of Compass comes into your office and sees the exclusive listing book, it will be a CRMLS CCP violation. Is that for transparency? What's that for? That's to protect them. That was May. I'll give you another one. This is from an agent who gave listings to you, CRMLS. This is from Brandon, just 2 weeks ago. he said, "Hi, Robert. Sorry to bother you. I want to let you know I just received a $2,500 MLS fine for marketing my private exclusive listings with Coldwell Banker, Century 21, and Sotheby's. I didn't know that it wasn't allowed. I thought we were allowed to market our private exclusives with other brokerages now in the larger company." Now, why would he want to do that? Because he wants to give his client in Newport Beach no days on market, no price drop history, the fiduciary duty. And so, hey, I can give that to you. Like, what seller wouldn't want that? And I can let the majority, 90% of buyers use an agent. I can give you 90% of the exposure with 0% of the risk. Our company has half of the agents in the market, and then I'm gonna send one-to-one, because NAR won't let us send out more than one-to-one to agents outside of that. But in this market, there's a woman named Anna. Anna was kicked out of her MLS because she had put a sign in her yard. She put a sign in her yard, she's a kid with special needs, and 3 days later she got a $5,000 fine. It's all here in email. And she asked me, on a Saturday, can I help her? Can I help her? Because she got kicked out of the MLS. She's going back and forth, back and forth. And what Ed Zorn said, he cited section 14.2, I believe it is, of the NAR Code of Ethics. What is section 14.2 of the NAR Code of Ethics? It says, if you disclose or disrupt an ethical proceeding, you can be kicked out of the MLS. So what is clear cooperation? If you put a sign in the yard and you went to the hospital and you forgot for your son, you forgot to put an MLS, that's an ethical fine, because it's an ethical proceeding. And so she got kicked out. She's not a top agent, but she can no longer work through MLS.
All right. Before we open up to questions, I always like to give guests, you have any final words that you want to just talk to us about?
Yeah, the final words, here's how I think the industry should work. There are 3 models of MLSs. There's 2 models that are do whatever you want, which is MLS PIN and Pennisi. Literally, no, just do whatever you want. Mark whatever you want. Rule works just fine. The next model is, as long as you share listings across brokerages in the MLS, you can decide where it is publicly. And then so you can protect it from days on market, price drop history, and publicly. I think the second is the right way that the industry should work. That's MRED, which is Illinois. That's Bright MLS, 6 states plus DC. Many people here probably know Bright. That is Unlock, which is Austin. That's HER, which is Houston. That's every one of the 5 MLSs in the Bay Area. So that number went from basically 10% in total that would give you flexibility in one of those 2 models. Now it's 60%. That's why Zillow came on top. Because 10% of MLSs would let you market on your site only without it being on Zillow 2 years ago. Now it's 60%. So Zillow came on top. And what is the Zillow ban? You should know. The Zillow ban works like this. If you don't give me your listing, I'm Zillow, in 24 hours, I will ban your listing. It will never be on Zillow. The only way that your listing gets back on Zillow is if they fire both you, the agent, and you, the brokerage firm. They have to fire both. And that's a perfectly designed system to scare you from ever marking off Zillow. So imagine if the dominant platform in every industry did what Zillow did and banned anyone that used a competitor. If Google banned anyone that advertised off Google, would the world allow it? Then why are we allowing Zillow to ban anyone that advertises off of Zillow?
All right. I'm going to make my rounds here. Please.
Robert, just psychologically, the public, with Zillow, it's, okay, I need my product on Zillow. How long do you think it's going to take for that to get out of the public's mindset?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, you're exactly correct in the problem. The problem is Zillow operates under the illusion that they are essential to the home selling process. But they don't sell homes, they sell leads. Here's the way I'll hit it clearly. Your home, you're selling your personal home. If you, for your personal home, your fiduciary, that's how you really take the fiduciary feeling. For your personal home, you could only list on one. Your MLS, where every agent will see it, or on Zillow. Where would you only get one option. How many of you would put your listing on the MLS over Zillow to sell your own home? And how many of you would put it on Zillow over the MLS? So 2/3, 70% said they put on Zillow. I mean, it's on the MLS. The problem is if you ask your clients how many of you would put it on the MLS, they would all say Zillow. So we have allowed them to believe that in the same way they thought newspapers sold properties 15 years ago, we've allowed them to believe that Zillow does. To answer your question, I don't know. but I think I'm working on something. If you see something announced in the next, call it 2 to 3 weeks, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Love it. Got a question right here.
Relax, Michael.
Better.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go first.
Oh, now I feel like I'm on the hot seat.
You're good.
First of all, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your time and your vision with us. My name is Stella Calagiro. I'm a broker for 23 years with Coldwell Banker. We're very proud to be here. So can you share a little bit more with us about your short-term vision for, obviously the MLS is fantastic, and I think a lot of us are looking forward to having that advanced capability and kind of pulling our clients away from platforms like Zillow. But what your short-term 3-year and 5-year goal is for us, and where you really see us going even beyond that.
Short-term, I was thinking like 6 months.
Yeah.
3 to 5 years, that's long-term.
That too. I move pretty fast, so that's great. I think short-term and long-term.
Let's do 1 year, I think it's 3 years and 5 years. So 1 year is this summer, on July 1st, you're going to get all the technology that any Compass agent has had. So it's going to... And it's going to give you huge advantages. We invested over $2 billion building it, and so it will give you huge advantages. You're also going to be able to have all the unique inventory searchable there, so when you log in, it's going to look and feel like the MLS. But it's going to have not just the MLS listings, it's going to have the unique inventory. And I call them protected listings. Listings protected from days on market and price drop history. But then we're also going to give you concierge, where we front load the cost of staging. You have something similar, but we're going to increase the limits and give you more money so you can do staging, a deep cleaning, cosmetic repair to make homes move-in ready, where they sell for more money in less time. I think those are the short term. We're also going to launch your listing, your lead. And so for your listing, the lead will go directly to you. Come on. But it's going to get better. We got something better. Better than your listing, your lead. If you decide you don't want to pick up the phone and it goes to some buyer agent, we're going to give you a 10 to 20% referral fee. We're calling it the dividend program. And it's being created by one of our best, actually one of the top Zillow Flex teams. Because I want to build this the right way. Like, I don't know what the perfect way is, but I want to listen to you on like, how should it work? And so getting to like the end of what's the 5-year vision? The 5-year vision, I can look at you and you can look at yourself and you can say, I know I have the best of everything in one place. And I know I'm being treated fairly, and I know that I have choice, and I know I'm able to best serve my clients. And I know I'm not being restricted by any third party, including us, on how you operate and serve your clients.
Go ahead, Amy Potter in the Maplewood office. Thank you for coming. So if there's going to be a national MLS, what purpose really does Zillow serve? And don't you have the leverage to just shut off the IDX switch to Zillow?
Ooh, the IDX question. This is what
So I got to be very careful about how I talk about these things.
That was not a plant, I promise.
The issue we have is it's not my business. It's your business. It's your client. So I'm never going to force anything. I'm not going to force you to use or not to use them. So you have to have choice of your clients. And that's why they do so well. Like, I love boutiques. I'm from Berkeley, California. Everything was boutique. I don't want an Amazon-driven world. But the truth is, Amazon likes boutiques more than I do. The MLS likes boutiques more than I do. The Zillow likes boutiques more than I do. Because boutiques can't defend themselves. And so you're even more than boutiques, because we're not even just boutiques. We're literally 1.5 million decision makers. And that's why they can go create a Zillow. if we were a company and you were all employees and you were making independent decisions, the Zillow ban would never work. Because they're not going to send a letter to us because we'd say, screw you, right? But they're sending letters to you, to Anna who got kicked out. They're, through fear of fines and bans, to individual entrepreneurs who are scared. My mom, I remember when the Zillow ban came out, I asked my mom, are you going to stop doing private exclusives? And I remember like her eyes and like her hand, she's like, but won't I get in trouble? Right? Like if I do it like because of Zillow, like to see them intimidate my mom, like this is very deeply personal to me.
Go ahead, Lauren.
By the way, this is one that everyone should do this. Everyone should wear
I'll get you next.
a name tag. It's just free business, right? Like almost everything we guys do go back to the basics. 15 years ago, like we just got to go return. There's an agent I know who says the majority of her business comes from name tags. She wears it at the gym. She's in Boulder.
The gym?
Yeah.
That's crossing a line. I don't know. Lauren Torano with Coldwell Banker & Wayne, and Rob Norman was my first boss in Montclair.
Oh, great.
So my question is, for a lot of us, we've been using the concierge for the photography, for all of the great services it offers. Is the price going to change for that? That's my question.
I don't know. So you're talking about listing concierge.
Listing concierge.
Yeah, the concierge that I was talking about is about for staging and deep cleaning, cosmetic repair to make homes move-in ready. So I don't.
Which is kind of like
Revitalize.
Exactly. Yes, I don't know.
I'm just curious if that's changing.
I don't think any of those decisions have made yet.
I don't know. Yeah.
Go ahead, Colleen.
It's only been 30 daes. So literally the transaction closed 30 days and 2 days ago on a Friday.
Yeah. So,
32 days.
Yeah, 32 days.
Marie Young from Basking Ridge. And I just wanted to say regarding, my question was actually similar to the other question. With Zillow saying we're going to ban you, because I always put my exclusives on, I run a whole campaign, and most times we don't show till we're live. With them saying they're banning and have that, if now with the power of 350,000, what if we stop sending any leads to Zillow?
I mean, look, it's ultimately it's your independent decision. I mean, you can do whatever you want per me. And I'll support you relative to anyone. I think what's going to end up happening, well, I'll tell you what things can end up happening. I think we're going to give our listings to other brokerages. And I think those brokerages will join our lawsuit against entities that are fining or banning us for sharing. Because for the last year, I'm like so frustrated with this narrative trying to hide listings, all these things. No, I'm not suing Zillow for private listings. If it's private, it can be there as long as you want. I'm suing them because I want to make them public. If you actually look at the Zillow ban access standards, it says what's not allowed: public marketing of listings that are on Zillow. If it was private, how would they even know about it? Think about it that way. If it's really private, the CCP is not a rule against private listings. It says, what is CCP? A listing that is publicly marketed, it says publicly marketed, for more than 24 hours must be in MLS. It's not a rule against private, it's a rule against public. And so I think we're going to share our listings across brokerage firms in the same way that those half of the MLSs let us, and then the other MLSs and Zillow that don't, I think we're going to all just join together and sue them. Because then it'll be very clear that they're not protecting transparency, they're protecting themselves in their own business model.
We had a question over there. Are you good with time?
Hi, I'm Ann Kosky from Madison. How are you going to create consumer awareness of this new platform?
You. So the Compass platform, which you're going to see, has 100 million contacts in the CRM. Together with Anywhere, I would guess almost everyone is in the CRM. Now, a very important note, your data is your data, right? Yeah.
Big brother.
No, but it's not Big Brother. I don't know what it is. You do. So it's your CRM. I mean, think about it this way: everyone's in Salesforce CRM, but Salesforce is an email. It's me as the user. So I asked my mom a long time ago, why are agents not using our CRM? She said agents think that you're going to steal their data. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said a lot of brokerages, when you leave, they'll call your clients. So I have a data pledge. It's called the CIH data pledge. I sign it. Every one of you will sign. And it says, your data is your data. I promise you I will never, Compass or CIH will never contact your clients, and you can take your client database with you. And so But by the way, think about how sad it is that we clap at that. Like all those big, because like this industry is pushed too hard. The fact that that is something that you would even be worried. I remember my mom says, like, what? People think they're going to steal the data? But that's what's happened in this industry. So if every one of you, if half of you, if 1/3 of you decide to send to your sphere of influence a digital newsletter once a week, then we'll create all these assets saying, we have 200,000 listings that are on Zillow. I mean, contact me and I'll show them to you. By the way, not hidden, they're public. Or what if you put a social post? So we'll create all these assets. It's in something called Marketing Center, your version of what you probably have, Canva, or this desk, and then you'll be able to get business from it as well.
Michael, we got a follow-up.
Can I interject for 1 second? I apologize. I want you to think about something real quick because I don't want to lose this thought. We do this right now. Like, there's no difference in terms of the approach. Nobody is forcing you to take an exclusive or put it to the market today. Nobody's forcing you to do that moving forward. The reality of it is it's not about being forced. Think about every single time you have a seller, you go out on a listing appointment, you sit down with that seller, and the seller wants $1 million for the house that you know is worth $800,000. What do you do with that seller? Do you tell them no, fight with them, and lose the listing? No, you educate them to the marketplace, you get them to understand it, and then you sit down with them and show their options in terms of marketing and the way we approach the market. And the way that I would approach the market in that instance is called a test market period. Let me take it as an exclusive. I'm going to shop it to the most productive agents in the area because we have the most productive agents in New Jersey, hands down. And we're going to say, we're preparing the house for market, we're getting it ready, but we're going to give you exclusive access prior to it coming to market. And if your client wants it, you could test that market out. And by the way, let's say they get an offer. Are they required to take that offer? No. They could go back to and say, no, I want to take my chances with the market. You have more options than you've always had these options. But the difference is, there's no mandate. There's no you need to do this. It's a strategic plan that makes a whole lot of sense because you could get your clients to see what the reaction is to the market before they have days on market ticking by. Because the days on market, every person in here who's ever worked with a buyer, you know what happens. They see, in this market, they see 15 days on market and they think, well, I can negotiate. Like, is that your fiduciary responsibility to your seller? You are trying to get top dollar for your seller. Explore all the options you have available to you so you can make sure that you get them truly what they should be getting for their home.
Okay, so my question really is, nationally and globally, Zillow does a lot of advertising about how they do things. How are we going to advertise how we're doing this?
We're going to put millions and millions of dollars into advertising. Search these 8 sites. We're going to see hundreds of thousands of listings that are not on Zillow. Work with these agents. Call these agents.
You're up next after this.
And again, there's so many. I'll give you 2 other examples of what we can do with our inventory. One was just pre-marketing publicly off. Right, that's one. Then you go to the topic of Google. A second one. So a number of agents said, hey, Zillow's sending me letters and emails saying that they're going to ban the listing address. If we don't disclose the listing address, then they won't ban it. So they asked us to create undisclosed address. So we launched undisclosed address. So we did that. We launched it last week, and now they don't know who to ban because they don't see the address. But the CEO of one of the major brokers said, oh, that's great. Agents will get their leads back. I said, what do you mean? He said, in the pre-internet era, if you go to a newspaper, the address wasn't there. And it's like, call me.
It's true.
You guys remember that? Who here remembers that? You remember walk-in traffic? Yeah. Right? So imagine if for 24 hours, again, you're going to independently do it yourself. If every agent in the country for 24 hours said, or in our company said, undisclosed address, what would happen? Can you say it?
More phone calls.
More phone calls. Well, now, would the seller hate that? No. The seller actually wants you to pick up the phone. They don't know what's happening. They don't know they're getting diverted. The buyer leaves. And then the last. By the way, do you know Realtor.com until 2008 it was always undisclosed address. But the last and there's not a single thing I advocate for that the builders aren't doing. They have undisclosed address. They pre-market outside the MLS. But here's the last thing. What do builders do? They have unreleased inventory. Come into this big building. I'll show you all the units that are coming online soon. Right? Make it exciting. Make it interesting. I estimate that our companies combined have 400,000 listing agreements signed that aren't going to act until the spring market. What if we just marketed, come into our offices, call any of our agents, where you can see the 400,000 addresses, just the address. You can opt out. The seller doesn't want that address shown, it's fine. Always choice. But 400,000 addresses of what's coming on in the spring market. Could you imagine if you said half the market that's coming on in the spring in New Jersey, you come into the office, you call Lauren, and you will be able to get access to it. That's an asset.
Go ahead.
Right here. Hey, Robert.
Hey.
Hey, I texted you a couple times. I texted you last night with some great links.
Thank you. I responded, right?
Yeah, you did. You're the only billionaire on my phone, so. I have it.
That is awesome.
So I just wanted to ask if we did just a simple role play. I'm going to a listing of.
I like that.
What's the thrust here? Sign with me while we get your house ready. You're exclusive with our MLS, 400,000 agents. We're going to pre-market, blah, blah, blah. We're going to sell this. We're going to pitch it, and it's going to work. If they say, what about Zillow? What about Realtor.com? Is there an option to put on both? Is it just with us? And are we just selling exclusives until we go to market?
So it's called the three-phase marketing strategy for a reason. It's designed to get to the third phase. I think it's 92%, I believe, of our three-phase marketing listings get to actually it was 94. 94% of listings get to the phase 3, so get to the open market. But those that get there, they have a price drop. The majority of them get a price drop privately. By the way, 6%
You want to talk about it?
of brokerages, they sell off the MLS anyway for the average listing. It's basically right along the same amount anyway. So it's designed to get there. It will get to Realtor, it'll get to Homes.com, it'll get to Redfin. If you're a seller, look, I don't know. Zillow doesn't ban every listing. I don't know their logic, but that is a risk.
People will sit here and
that's a risk for Zillow.
A lot of times
But again, Zillow doesn't sell homes; they sell leads. And the truth is, do you want days on market and price drop history? What's more valuable to you? I can get you 90% exposure because agents bring 90% of the buyers. I can get you that with no days on market, no price drop history. Would you rather have that option? Or would you rather get to Zillow? Or get 100% of leads or of views? Now Zillow has 200 million people search it a month. Only 4 million people buy a year. So clearly these 200 million people aren't buying, they're just searching, right? Also Zillow, when they're looking at your listing, they're going to divert the buyer inquiry to somebody else. And that person often definitely doesn't know the property. It's from a different zip code. And so I can protect you from that.
We got a question over here, Robert.
I'm going to come to you.
At the end of the day, a year from now, one of the selling points we have now are eyes on market through our listings. What is your vision for eyes on the market a year from now when everything comes into place that I can sell to the seller?
You mean like maximum exposure?
Yes.
So he asked about how can I sell maximum exposure? So here's what I think, and I know this will be somewhat controversial. I don't think maximum exposure equals maximum price is true for luxury goods. If maximum exposure equaled maximum price, everything would be on Amazon. Luxury products are not on Amazon. Who here has a Chanel bag? I think I saw a Chanel bag. They don't sell them on Amazon. Resellers do, but Chanel LVMH does not sell them. Yeah, and so I don't think maximum exposure, maximum price is a real thing when it comes to $1 million plus homes. And if maximum exposure equal maximum price for homes, every builder would put their listings on Zillow and MLS, like by definition. Like they sell more homes than we do, right? In terms of, and they're selling more homes than any individual agent. And if they believed that the most eyeballs would get the highest price, they would put every single listing on the MLS and on Zillow.
Can I share a quick anecdotal thing? So for the past, let's call it 10 years, we do a tremendous amount of exclusives, in Maplewood and a lot of the, the offices that I serve. At least 25 times, probably 30, 40 times, we've taken exclusive, we've brought it out, pushed it out, got multiple offers within, our company, gave the seller the choice to go to market. They chose to go to market and got less on the market. I've witnessed that. I cannot even tell you how many times. In this market, 100%, without question. And I'll tell you why. Because people, you don't have to believe me, but it's truth. So, yesterday, there we go. Thank you. There's a reason why. Because people were paying for the basically to not have to compete.
Here, I'll give it to you. So let's role play. You're my client. You ready? This is how it goes. I'm Aaron Kruger, real story. It's a $14 million penthouse in Four Seasons in Nashville.
I don't know how to write up that contract.
$14 million penthouse.
Yeah.
And you're the buyer. Buyer flies in, offers 13.2. And I, Aaron Kruger, look you dead in the eye and say, I'm sorry, my client will take nothing less than full ask. Anything less than full ask, 14 million, I'm going to put it in the MLS and Zillow. You can compete against everybody else. What's that buyer do?
Are you a buyer's agent or disclosure?
I'm a seller. I'm a seller agent. So
who's representing the buyer when you tell them?
who cares?
Who cares?
You know how I work.
I know.
So here's a good example of what an agent said. An agent said, when you put it on Zillow, you as a listing agent, you have no more cards to play. Actually, you're the one who told me.
I was.
Yeah, he said yesterday. You want to say what you said?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you think about it, if you're in today's market, so we'll talk today's market, everybody knows that, there's not a lot of inventory, please. There's not a lot of inventory. There's bidding wars. We all are living it. When you bring a house to market in today's market and somebody pays top dollar for it and you accept their offer, they have all the leverage. Why? Because they know that they paid more than everybody in an inflated market. So immediately they have all the leverage. So if they act like a jerk during home inspections or whatever else, you're giving up the leverage. When you do it with an exclusive, and by the way, I'm not against MLS, just to be clear. I'm for MLS. It's just different strategies for different folks. Like when you go on as an exclusive and you get somebody who pays you top dollar and they start to play games during home inspections, you say, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I understand. We'll take our chances with the market. You have a leverage play that you don't have otherwise.
Let me share one last example on that. This is, because I'm learning from you. There's not a single thing I say that didn't come from an agent. Everything, these are not my lines, right? You're real estate. I'm listening to you. I try to bring the best lines back to you. So that line, I'm sorry, my client will take nothing less than full ask. If you don't give this price, I'm going to put it in MLS. You can compete against everyone else. That is a line to increase the value for your seller. And that's why I gave it to you. But here's an example of Ernesto Gomez and why you wouldn't put it in the MLS first. He had a property on Greenwich Street in Manhattan. I visit every Sunday. I visit open houses with my family to support our agents. As I go there with my family, and I ask him, why did your seller choose to list as a private exclusive? He told me this was his first time. The agents never did it before in all the years. But his seller, he said, my seller was sophisticated enough to know that in order to test a record price, because they want to test a record price, that you wouldn't want to have the risk of days on market and price drop history. By the way, they got record price. So the story I'm going to tell you is how you got record price by not having all the eyeballs. And so what he did is he only did the showings between 4 to 5:15 when the sunset was coming down in Tribeca. Because there's no days on market pressure. You don't have to do it all in one weekend. So, and then he emailed 200 agents across brokerages that he knew that sold the most property in the area and invited them in so they can invite their clients and make them feel special. He had 15-minute increments of showings, and there was a line out of the block. So when I left, there were three other agents. No, there's two. There are two other agents from different companies. The buyer came from a different company, not from Compass. He ultimately got maximum. He got the record price, and they paid for the transfer tax. And I asked, how do you get them to pay for the transfer tax? It was a similar line to Aaron Kruger in Nashville. He said, look, you can tell all the demand. You can see outside all the demand for the property, and I haven't even put it on Zillow and the MLS yet. And so in order for me to not put it there, you have to pay for the transfer tax. And they got the record price.
Colleen.
Oh, no, then I asked him, I said, what do your sellers say? Afterwards, I was like, what do your sellers say? He's like, I remember how he looked at me. Yeah, because he wears a hat to the side. He's like, what do you mean what my sellers say? My seller thought I was a magician. Now, just think about this. What made him a magician is against the MLS rules. What made him a magician is what Zillow will ban him for. That's why I'm fighting for this.
Go ahead.
Hey, Robert. Thanks for joining us.
You're up next.
I've been around long enough that I don't get excited about many things, but your enthusiasm is infectious, so I'm feeling it. Can you tell us a little about your vision for the brands?
Okay.
What do you see for integration? Would it make sense with all this discussion of national platforms and advertising campaigns that just right now fold everything under Coldwell Banker?
I love that. That's good. I love that. That's good. So we're going to have all the brands be independent brands, independent cultures, independent offices, independent sales meetings, independent mastermind groups, and so definitely keeping the independence. So you keep the culture that you know and love, which is really set by your sales manager. The Coldwell Banker culture in your market is going to be different than the one in LA, it's going to be different than the one in Seattle, and definitely different than the one in Miami. And it depends on the sales manager and the culture there. But in terms of spend, we're going to invest every dollar we can to build your brand. You have a great brand, and we're going to continue to invest.